Are you looking for true personal freedom? The freedom to design a life you truly desire? Then you're absolutely in the right place. True personal freedom comes from when you take 100% responsibility and control of your money and your mind. Here you're going to learn ideas, tips, and wisdom that's going to help you bridge the gap from where you are now to your dream life in the future. My name is Randy Wilson, and welcome to the RichMind Podcast. Hello, and welcome back to the RichMind Podcast. Today, I want to share a message that is a little bit about myself. I want to share an experience that I've been going through the last few weeks. This year of 2023 has been a great experiment for myself. I've put myself into a lot of what I would call uncomfortable situations, whether it be being in large rooms with a lot of people. I would consider myself introverted. I'm definitely not extroverted by any means. But at the same time, I know that I need to push myself to get into different rooms, which I've done. Obviously, I've launched the podcast, which that was, a little bit an anxious moment, not necessarily knowing how, number one, it would go, what the outcome would be. A lot of uncertainty there. So that would be something else that I pushed myself through. And then also just trying to figure out what the next phase, what's going to be the next kind of business that I want to get into. As you may or may not know, I've had some success in Amazon e-commerce. I've had pretty good success in my W-2 world, meaning I was in retail for many, many years and made it to a pretty good standing as far as with the company that I was with. I was also with Coca-Cola for quite some time. Anyways, everything has gone relatively well really up until this point. And the experience that has happened to me over this last year is I keep trying to put myself into uncomfortable situations that then triggers me. I like to use the word triggers. It triggers my emotions. It triggers my subconscious mind. And what happens is then what I'm trying to do is catch myself in those moments when it happens, when I get triggered, to then begin to understand, number one, where it comes from, why it's there, what I can do to then try to correct some of that negative outcome, some of that self-doubt, that fear. Why am I not achieving more? Why am I not moving forward as fast as I probably should or could? And a lot of it for me personally has to do with my internal guidance system. My subconscious mind is literally self-sabotaging me every step of the way. Growing up, I was always worried about friends. I was always worried about other people. I always wanted to have people like me. I think we can probably all kind of fit into that category. Some maybe a little bit more than others. I would consider myself maybe a little bit more than others. And to do that, I would always sabotage myself for the greater of whatever friend I was trying to be friends with. Right? Whether it was a group of boys or a group of girls, girlfriends, whatever, it didn't matter. I was always trying to do better for them. I was always afraid of disappointing them. So as I've continued to get into my adulthood and my adult age, is that I'm always still, to this point, I'm afraid of disappointing other people, to the point where I will sacrifice my own feelings, my own thoughts, my own creativity to try to make something better that isn't bad to begin with. It's all self-imposed. It's all self-doubt. It's all self-sabotage. One thing that I used to say this, and I'm trying to catch myself saying this all the time, is that I try not to get too excited about something, whether it's an event, whether it's another person, another friend. I try not to get my expectations up in excitement, with the feeling of excitement, because that sets me up for potential failure in terms of disappointment. And I struggle with that a lot, to the point where, as I mentioned, I will just flat out say it to my wife all the time, that, excitement, getting excited. She would ask me, "Are you getting excited?" I'm like, "No, I'm not getting excited." I would never allow myself to get excited, which brings me to the point that I want to bring today. This is something that happened to me just a week or two ago that is fresh in my mind, something that I'm working on, but it correlates with everything that I've spoken to so far today. And what happened was that I had a friend reach out to me And I got excited about that. I really allowed myself the chance to feel the excitement, meaning to be happy, to look forward to the conversation, to look forward to the opportunity to connect, whatever it was. I consciously chose to allow myself to get excited, which, as I mentioned, was something that I never did before. And it was almost instantaneously. Once I made that decision, that conscious decision to get excited, I began to physically feel bad, meaning my temperature rose. I got almost an instant headache. I literally started to physically feel bad. And what that tells me is that my subconscious mind, based on all of my programming from my earlier phases of life, was really kicking into overdrive, trying to get me to stop being excited. What was it going to take to get me to stop being excited? And it felt awful, meaning this headache that came on was very intense. The temperature rise in my body. I mean, I could literally feel it as it was happening. And it was relatively soon after I was allowing myself to have those thoughts. I would say it was probably within an hour or two of having that thought in the morning. So it would be mid morning to late or to early afternoon, maybe, is when I was really starting to feel physically bad. My subconscious mind was really kicking in. So what I did was, number one, is I recognized that it was happening. Instead of allowing it to completely take control, not only of my body physically, but normally it would normally take control of my mind as well, the way I was thinking, the different actions I would take then from that moment forward. Even that particular day, that totally would have wrecked that entire day as far as my productivity, anything else I wanted to get done. It totally would have sabotaged the entire day in the past. This time, as I mentioned, I took control of it. I realized it was happening. Luckily, my wife was with me that morning as well. So I literally started to talk to her about it as soon as it began to happen, which allowed me then to feel it in a different way, understand that it was not true. I kept telling myself, this is not true. This is not how I want to feel. The past, the self-sabotage needed to stop. I just kept repeating to myself over and over and over that everything was fine, that it is okay to be excited. Nothing is going to happen. I do not need myself, my subconscious mind kicking in at this moment to protect me. It's trying to protect me from these past experiences that I used to have. So understanding that, embracing it, accepting it, feeling it, knowing that it's there. It didn't go away instantaneously. It didn't go away right away, but that allowed me then to take that emotion, take those feelings, get them out. As I mentioned, I talked to my wife about it, and you can talk to other folks. You can journal about it. That would probably be the next best thing to do, would be break out your journal, break out something to write on, get your thoughts out of your head and onto paper. Describe how you're feeling. Where are those feelings coming from? Can you pinpoint a moment in your past when you're a child or even as you're an adult that you can remember that were driving these feelings? Where are they coming from? And when you can begin to pinpoint where they're coming from, that will give you then the ability to step through them like I was able to step through it this last time. So I was able to enjoy the feeling of excitement more so this time than I ever have in the past. It wasn't fantastic. As I mentioned, it was a fantastic experience, but at the same time, it was the great first step to allow me then to, when the next time comes, because it will come, to be able to step into it again and to then understand that it's myself, it's my subconscious mind, my self-sabotage pattern, which I would believe that we all have one. You need to determine what it is for you, just like I'm working so hard to determine what it is for myself. And that would be my encouragement for you today. So take a few minutes, rewind this, listen to this over again if that would help. But the point that I want to drive home with you today is that we are being guided by this internal guidance system, this subconscious mind that is being programmed since we were very young humans. And it's pushing us in different ways that may or may not be serving us anymore. When we were little and we had those sabotage patterns or those subconscious feelings, they were there to protect you in those particular moments. But as an adult, they may not be serving you anymore, and you need to get them out of your life. And really the only way to do that, as I'm learning, is to experience them in real time and then challenge them basically as they're happening, telling yourself over and over and over that you do not need this feeling to be in your environment anymore and for it to go away. So hopefully you found this message valuable today. I'm working on this literally every day. There's so many different things in my own life that I'm realizing as I've gotten older that patterns, sabotage, limiting beliefs, just a lot of junk that is rolling around in my mind, rolling around in the way I believe, the way I think, that I'm really trying to take it out and pull it out by the root and just get it out of my life. And so that way I can continue to show up, be the best version of myself for myself, and then also for my family, and then obviously my close acquaintances as well. So go out there, challenge yourself. This is going to be some difficult work, and I understand that. It's been very challenging for me as well. But I will tell you that if you can begin this process and start figuring out when those triggers happen and then how you feel once that trigger takes place, you will then be able to start taking control of those triggers and use them for good, and then turn that whole situation around and keep moving forward towards this destination that I know is going to be fantastic for you. So as always, I hope you found value in this message. If you or anybody else in your immediate family or friends could use a message like this, please, I would ask for you to share it with as many people as you possibly can. You can also go to the podcast platform of choice and leave me a review. I would love to hear some feedback, what you think of the podcast. I'm trying to obviously deliver as much value as I possibly can, trying to incorporate my own personal stories along with a lot of the things that I'm learning out there in my quest to becoming better every single day. So go out there, have a fantastic day, and I look forward to coming back with the next message very soon. Until then, bye now. Thank you for joining me on the RichMind Podcast. I hope you found a ton of value in this episode. If so, I'd really appreciate a 5-star review, and you can also share it with your family and friends. And as my mentor Jim Rohn shared with me, in order to have more, you must first become more. And in order to become more, you must work harder on yourself than you do on your job. So go out there today and work harder on yourself to become more and build the life of your dreams. Until next time, my friends.